Bill Murphy says, I'm running for county commissioner. I'm 29 and this will be my first time in a government position, hopefully. Any advice? Yes. I just don't know what it is yet. County commissioner is not a position I've thought about a great deal. I don't know what the term is, how long you can be a county commissioner. If it were me, and if I were running for representative, let's say, or even state representatives, I don't know if it works on a local level to this degree, but if it were me, I would say, I would like your vote, and my promise to you in writing, here it is on my pamphlet, my promise to you in writing is that I will be term limited, and my term limit will be 1 term. I will serve 1 term as your representative in Congress. If you like the job I did then, you can send me as a senator, you can make me governor. If I want to keep in politics, I'll do that, but I am not going to seek re-election for this office because I think that is the source of all of our problems. I'm going to go in there, do my job, and when the term is over, I will go home. That's why I would like you to vote for me. Seems to me that would be a very effective way to do it. Now, maybe you want to be on the county commission for longer than that, but if you're 29 years old, Bill, you probably can do a lot of good in politics, and the trap is, how do you not get corrupted by this? I know when we were, Matt and Vipercheck and I were basically putting together the structure of this in-game country, this republic, time and time and time again, I found myself giving away things, subsidies and things, and programs, and giving away things to people to get them to sign up. When we were thinking about the structure, just constantly finding myself saying, wait a minute, what the hell am I doing? It's so seductive. But if you're a 29-year-old conservative, I think, since you asked my advice, it's not just advice on how to get elected, Bill, it's advice on how to get elected and then, get to heaven afterwards, which is the trick, right? If it were me, if I were starting in politics, I would simply say to myself, this is my lifelong campaign term, my lifelong campaign pledge, that I will never, ever seek re-election to the same office after 1 term. I think you could probably make an entire career in politics that way, if that's your desire. But the nice thing about this, Bill, is that if you take this attitude, what you're basically saying is, even if I want to stay in politics for the rest of my life, I am never going to use the power of the incumbent, and I'm never going to, if I live up to this standard, that I'm never going to have to prostitute myself in order to get reelected for that job. I will never be the incumbent. All of the money, all of the influence, all of the corruption goes to the people who are holding the office. And if you are announcing in advance that I'm going to be a representative from the great state of California for 2 years, and you make it crystal clear that you believe in this, then the money will not be interested in you because you can't be bought. You can't be bought because the only thing they have to offer you is money for being reelected. And virtually everybody that goes into politics looks at office, holding public office, they look at it, it's the last helicopter out of Saigon. They hang on to those skids, and they literally have to have their knuckles kicked until they finally fall away. But if you basically take the attitude that I'm not going to ever go for re-election for the same office, what you're basically saying is, I think I could make a career in politics. I have a lot of ideas that I think are good ideas, but you give up the advantage of the incumbency, and since you are never going to be an incumbent, you basically have severed yourself from the corruption. And if you want an allegory for it, one of my favorites, I guess, but I think this is a pretty good way to think about it. If you decided to do that, what you would basically be doing is you'd be giving the ring to Frodo. Aragorn and Boromir, they both want the ring, and they both want the ring for the same reasons. They want the ring because they love their people, and because they believe in good, and they despise evil, and they know that with the power of the ring, they could save Gondor against the forces of Mordor and Sauron. If they just had the ring, they would wield enough power to be able to do good. They don't want the ring so that they can become tyrants over everybody. Boromir wants the ring because he wants to return to Minas Tirith and save his people using the power of this ring. And so does Aragorn. He wants that too. But the difference between Aragorn and Boromir is Boromir has been a leader of men. He's been a warlord. He's a good man, and he's been a champion, and he's an honorable man and a decent man. But the difference between Boromir and Aragorn is Boromir has not had the dirt ground into his face. That's the difference. Boromir didn't strike me as a particularly vain person or a particularly proud character, but Aragorn is a humble character. Aragorn is a humble person who has been humbled by life. He's sitting in the back room of some sleazy tavern in the middle of nowhere. He's the king of Gondor. He's a direct descendant of Isildur and all of the kings of Numenor and all the rest of this stuff. It doesn't mean anything to you. I'm sorry. That's just the way it goes. Get on a roll here. He is the heir to the throne, and he's in these crummy little pubs, sipping terrible beer and eating greasy pork, or walking out through the woods all by himself, keeping an eye on these hobbits, keeping the Shire safe because he knows what's there. And the difference between Aragorn and Boromir is Aragorn has been humbled enough to know, this is the point, Aragorn is humbled enough and wise enough to know that if he doesn't give away the ring, he will end up taking it. If he gets his hands on it, he will use it. And this is the big insight that escapes so many people. People have said to me many times, you should run for president. What would you do if you were president? First thing I would do is I'd make the no re-election pledge, because then I could focus and I would be immune to it. But the other thing I would do are things like this. I would say, on my first day as president, I'm going to issue an executive order, and this executive order is going to void all previous executive orders, and then I'm going to issue an executive order making executive orders illegal, which is what they should have been in the first place. I would take the ring and I'd chuck it in the volcano, and I'd do it on day one, because if I didn't do it on day one, I'd start thinking about all the good I could do if I had the power of executive orders, and off we go. This is one of the truest things ever said, but it is absolutely true. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Hard to believe, but I suspect at some point, even Hillary Clinton wanted to do good. Although I'm willing to admit that there are limitations to this theory. Let's see, we'll do a couple more, I guess.